F-15 Eagle is a fighter jet that is one of the fastest aircraft in the world. And this is a fighter jet that has troubled Russia. This is a fighter jet that no fighter jet has been able to shoot down in air-to-air combat, while it has done more than 100 successful missions. F-15 is a fighter jet that has destroyed more than half of a country's air force. This is a fighter jet that can kill satellites. This is a fighter jet that was planned to be replaced by today's fifth-generation air superiority jet F-22. But still, no fighter jet has been able to replace it, while it has been in service for 50 years. What other features does this fighter jet have? What purpose did the United States make it for? And why is it so important for the United States even after 50 years? Why was the Soviet Union so scared? We will talk about all this in detail in today's video. So without wasting more time, let's start. In July 1967, the Soviet Union revealed its new super and state-of-the-art fighter jet. And this new fighter jet had sounded the alarm bell for America. This fighter jet was a MiG-25 Foxbat, and it was impossible to intercept it at that time, because its speed was so much. If this fighter jet attacked American assets, it would easily attack and come back. And America would just keep staring. America itself admitted that it did not have such an operational jet at that time to compete with the Foxbat. Neither in air-to-air combat, nor in long-range air-to-surface missiles, nor in Mach 3 speed. We currently have no fighter in our operational inventory that could consistently, if successfully, combat the Foxbat. The fight between the US and the Soviet Union has been going on for a long time, and it seems that the Soviet Union is winning, and the Air Force has gone to the Soviet Union. Seeing this powerful Russian machine, the US had also decided that it would make the world's best fighter jet and give it to the Soviet Union. In the Korean War, American F-86 and MiG-15 jets were fighting each other, and both were light and fast jets, which were made for close dogfights, but in the mid-1950s, new technology began and new fighter aircraft were designed. Now there were powerful new radars, which could detect enemy jets from a great distance, and new missiles were introduced, which could hit their target for miles. Military planners had understood that the air battles of the future would be beyond visual range, and the age of close dogfights was gone. The fighter pilot would see the aircraft on his jet screen and hit his air target from his BVR missile many kilometers away from the common eye, and the need for a close dogfight would end. This was realized by the Soviet Union before the United States, and the United States realized this in the Vietnam War, when its F-4 Phantom aircraft was failing in front of the MiG jets. The Phantom was launched into the field to fight against the fast MiG jets, and especially to fight dogfights, but some Phantom pilots were not trained and some Phantom-guided missiles were not hitting the target. The Phantom was designed for large and high-altitude targets. At low altitude, the target was often missed, and when its missile failed and the enemy did not hit it, then the Phantom had nothing to defend itself, because it did not have a gun. The Phantom was designed for close combat, but it did not have a gun. In addition, it was big, less maneuverable, and its engine was smoky, which quickly became the reason for being spotted. Taking advantage of these few shortcomings, the MiG jets used to target this aircraft more closely in this war, because they knew that this poor guy did not have a gun and the missile worked at a high altitude. This situation was very alarming for American pilots. Air Force planners started putting guns in the F-4 Phantom to end this gap and started training their pilots, but these were stopgap solutions. The American Air Force really needed a new and dedicated air priority fighter jet, which meant putting all the concepts that America had thought of for the next fighter jet in the trash can and making a new fighter jet based on a new design from the beginning. A fighter jet that is extremely fast, explosive, radar advanced, missile advanced, has a gun, has a good range, and is an all-weather tactical aircraft. And it was more important to make such an aircraft very quickly, that is, to make such an aircraft based on the Hong Kong principles. Because in 1967, the Soviet Union had removed the whale from its new and dangerous aircraft, which was the MiG-25. So the Phantom, which was being hit by the first MiG jets, there was no question of standing in front of it. In 1968, American aircraft designers are invited to submit proposals to companies so that they can give their groundbreaking concepts. So that such a fighter jet can be made, which is good in performance, speed, thrust, drag, weight, everything. In December 1969, McDonnell Douglas is selected to make such an aircraft. Funds are also issued to make this fighter jet immediately. F-15 Eagle was designed for tactical dominance in any airspace. It was ready to fight at both low and high altitudes. 2 engines were installed in it, which can generate a massive 48,000-pound thrust. This power was enough to break the sound barrier, so that even while flying straight upwards, the top speed of this aircraft is Mach 2.5, which is the fastest fighter jet ever made in the United States. Variable air intakes were placed in them to make their performance better. These were connected to a computerized inlet control system, so that optimal airflow can be adjusted at any speed and angle of attack. For maximum situational awareness, its cockpit was kept higher than the fuselage so that a 360-degree view can be achieved. In addition, a digital heads-up display and fully integrated radar and avionics were kept. 8 Sparrow and Sidewinder missiles were kept under the wing and with the fuselage. And if close combat was ever needed, a 20mm gun was installed in it, which can fire 6,000 rounds in a minute. With the combination of speed, power and agility, the F-15 Eagle was ready to take its place in the airspace and make its name on the list of the best fighter jets in the world. Its first prototype was unveiled in 1972, 3 years after which mass production of this aircraft was started. And now it was time to prove its air superiority and give a message to the Soviet Union. Yeah, I guess. A year before this, the Soviet Union's MiG-25 Foxbat had made records of climbing fast, and now it was time for the F-15 to break these records. And in 1975, the F-15 made a record of climbing fast, and it was 30 kilometers away, right next to the Earth's stratosphere. The F-15 not only broke the records of the MiG-25, but also made a 25% better record. Now the US Air Force had an excellent aircraft. The US Air Force first ordered 400 such aircraft. Not only that, the US also gave these aircraft to its allies, which were first obtained by Israel, then by Japan, and then by Saudi Arabia. The Soviet Union had hidden the capabilities of the MiG-25 and a lot of other things. Not much was revealed about it, so that the element of fear remained in the West. But when the Soviet pilot Viktor Blenko defected the MiG-25 and brought it to Japan, the US learned everything about the MiG-25 that it should have known. Every detail of it, its advantages and disadvantages, every secret of it was revealed to the US, and now it was time for the Soviet Union to panic. Because F-15 Eagle had won its first victory and sent a message to Russia to be its air priority fighter. And this victory was achieved by the F-15 of Israel by destroying 4 Syrian MiG-21 planes. That too in a single engagement. After F-15 Eagle, its A, B and C variants also started to join the service with the improvement of range, payload and weapon system. Friends, F-15 was proving to be AC/DC mode for MiG planes, just like it was made to destroy MiG planes. From 1979 to 1981, F-15 dropped 13 MiG-21s and 2 Syrian MiG-25s in actions against Lebanon. That means it also dropped MiG-25 and proved that now the air dominance is in the hands of the Eagle. After this, it was also used to destroy the Iraqi nuclear reactor. In the 1982 Lebanon War, this plane dropped 40 different MiG aircraft. In the Gulf War, F-15 took more than half of the Iraqi Air Force. This plane broke the back of the Iraqi Air Force. In the Gulf War, F-15 destroyed 5 MiG-29s, 2 MiG-25s, 2 MiG-21s, 2 Su-4s, 2 Sukhoi Su-22s, 1 Su-7, 6 Mirages, 1 Cargo 76 aircraft, 1 PC-9, and 2 Mi-8 helicopters. In addition, F-15 has also been a target of MiG planes in many missions. F-15 was not only a death for the MiG planes of the Soviet Union, but it was also a big threat to the Soviet Union's satellites. The United States had built the anti-satellite missile ASM-135, which could only launch F-15. So that if the Soviet Union uses spy satellites against the United States, then F-15 fires this missile and destroys the satellite. In this way, the United States had successfully destroyed satellites on its old satellites. I'm never looking back, cause I made a life that's passionate. College graduates are present. America has made about 8 different variants of this aircraft. The news is that America wants to make this aircraft a 5th generation stealth aircraft. For this, America also presented its variant in the name of Silent Eagle in 2009, which was based on reduced radar cross-section. And there is also a concept of making the F-15 204OC variant on this variant in the future, which can replace expensive aircraft like F-22. And if you talk about the Soviet Union, what do you think? Will the Soviet Union sit comfortably after being snatched and badly beaten by the F-15? No, not at all. To regain its position, the Soviet Union also began to build a plane that could compete with the F-15 and regain the lost position of the air's priority. Which aircraft of the Soviet Union was never shot down in air combat like the F-15? And did this fighter jet snatch the air's priority from the F-15 or not? We will talk about this in our next video. If you know which aircraft I am talking about, then do let me know in the comments section.